It's the Franklin Show, live from Franklin, with America's favorite adopted pup, Franklin Delano Roosevelt Lloyd Wright Sinatra Seltzer, and his friend and favorite Franklin dog adopter, Michael Seltzer. I'm your announcer, best ever mayor of the city of Detroit, Coleman Young. And now, here's Franklin.
Now, a brand new segment on the Franklin Show. Franklin and I see dead people.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Okay. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
I'm dialing up heaven. You know, this is my favorite segment where I see dead people. By the way, that 800 number is 1-800-I'm-DEAD. And I'm waiting to connect. Hello, John? John? John Lennon, former member of the Plastic Ono Band. Are you there? Hey, John?
Hello.
Oh, wow. You know, you sound like you look great.
Well, now there's a backhanded compliment if ever I heard one.
Yeah,
Sort of like a banker meeting a client and saying, "Excuse me, sir, how much did you say your name was again?"
I don't give too many compliments, so you should take that to the bank. Now, listen, John, before you were in the Plastic Ono Band, you were in another little band, right?
Yeah, I call it the Decadent Decade. It was getting better all the time until it got much worse.
Yeah. And that little band was what, the Beatles? Was that?
Yes,
right.
yes.
Right,
10 years.
10 years. It lasted 10 years?
Yeah, about the length of most American marriages, yeah.
That's true.
10 times as long as 90% of today's bands, if you want to call them that.
I
what
wouldn't
the
call
devil
them
are
anything.
they doing?
Yeah. Were there any special hits that you guys had during that period? I can't quite recall.
Well, we had a great catalogue with lots of memories. It wasn't just the music. A lot of meeting Mahesh Yogi, I believe it was back in '68. Very enlightening, you know, and the food was fantastic. Who knew that goat could taste so good?
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Say, listen, do you ever run into George Harrison?
Absolutely. He's about the place all the time, playing My Sweet Lord 24/7. Beginning to get a bit sick of it, to be honest with you. I think the Old Town label should consider another lawsuit or something, you know, but having said that, God is a better law firm, you know. I mean, these lads wrote the commandments, for crying out loud. They're like Johnny Cochran in white.
Oh, Johnny Cochran. You ever run into that guy? Boy, my regards to him. What a fine attorney. Yeah.
I would, but he'd call one of those, you know, hit-and-run lawyers, and I'd be in trouble probably.
Right. So let me ask you a question. Now, look, you know, I'm assuming, you know, Paul is coming along eventually, and you know, Ringo will be along eventually. Any thoughts on a reunion? Is that even in the lexicon of your consideration?
Well, Michael, I think it's inevitable, isn't it? I think likely a command performance, as they say. I mean, the big guy will command us to play, we'll comply or we'll fry, you know, not a lot of options in that contract, let me tell you. Or as the Righteous Brothers sang, if there's a rock and roll heaven, you know they've got a hell of a band. Well, if you're in breach up here, you become a hell of a band quickly, you know. The stage has a trapdoor, I think.
Right, I would say so. Well, let me ask you this, though. What happens if Paul gets there and Ringo is lagging behind? Would you consider Pete Best? I mean, wasn't he a better drummer anyway?
I'd say that's a toss-up. Honestly, I'd pass them both up for Buddy Rich. I mean, that guy plays like the devil.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. No,
if he didn't have such a ganja ghost of Chiba smoke all around him all the time, I might even have asked him already. But I get a contact high.
That would be, Buddy Rich, that would be spectacular. So
Yeah,
one more.
those skins. Yeah.
I've always admired your style, the way
Thank
you dress. You're so groovy. I don't know if that's a word people know today, but back in the 60s, groovy meant you. Now, so is there a Carnaby Street up there? I mean, do you have any good fashionable, you don't order from Amazon, do you?
No, they don't deliver for some reason. They've not explored that avenue yet, believe it or not. But we do have a Gianni Versace up here. I love his stuff. And, Rogat Bull from India just arrived, and he makes some tight gear, as we say up here.
Yeah, that's great. No, that would be that. I kind of figured you'd have to find some sort of a style spot.
Yeah.
So, well, look, our time is almost up. This is a wonderful opportunity to connect with you again. And
You as well.
do you have any thoughts on the other British bands or any music like is Britney Spears or Taylor Swift in your consideration good music, or what do you think about today's music? Anything in particular?
Well, when you say good music, and I'd rather go to the British band portion than the Britney Spears and Taylor Swift, But don't mention this to Paul, but
No.
my favorite Paul was Paul Rodgers. All the way from Free and All Right Now, to Bad Company. The voice was flawless. Bit of a pill to work with, as I understand. But then again, I was a bit prickly myself at times, wasn't I?
I would say, yeah. Well, Paul was better in Wings anyway, let's face it. Really. Yeah.
Well, we could toss that one back and forth, but you can't get a ball this high, can you?
No. No. Well, listen, I really appreciate your taking the time. Do me a favor. One of my favorite bands back in the day was Jerry and the Pacemakers. Jerry Marsden is up there. Will you give him regards from me, please? I've got his autograph, and I really miss the guy. And, Jerry and the Pacemakers, just a great British band.
Hang on, Jerry. Do you want to come sing Ferry Cross
He's
the
right
Mersey?
there. Oh, God.
No, he doesn't want to sing Ferry.
Oh, God bless him. Ferry Cross the Mersey. I don't think you could say Ferry Cross the Mersey today. I think that would be...
Not in the PC culture. The zeitgeist is so tight, it's even up here.
Well, John, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. My audience is going crazy here. And stay in touch, will you? I've got your number. You've got mine.
Only if you say hello to your wee dog, Franklin.
Franklin's right here. Franklin was exhausted and couldn't make the travels today, so I've got a fill-in for Franklin, but I will definitely give him your best. He's a big fan.
He's a lovely wee boy.
He's a much better boy than I am, that's for sure.
I'd agree.
Thanks, John. Appreciate that. God bless you, man. God bless you.
He
Thank
does
you.
every day.
Yep. Thank you. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. This was great. Thanks, John. Bye-bye now.
You're welcome. Bye for now.
When it comes to disasters and emergencies, it's not a matter of if, but when.
I'm relying on luck, but who knows if it'll be on my side.
Let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Take control at ready.gov/olderadults.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. I am very, very grateful for this opportunity that I have using the 1-800-I-See-Dead-People line and connecting with people from our past. And I have the opportunity and the pleasure of introducing to you one of the greatest legends in the city of Detroit, as he used to say it. Ladies and gentlemen, former Mayor Coleman Young is on the air with us now.
Hello, Michael. How are you?
Mr. Mayor, what a pleasure to talk to you. And man, you sound great.
Well, thank you very much. It's my honor to be on your show. And even though it's mostly your honor, it's my honor as well, because that's why people always say, "Hi, Your Honor."
Oh, I get that. Oh, that's it. You haven't lost your sense of humor, I'll tell you that.
Well, I've been living in the great beyond now for pushing 30 years. And the first thing I'd like to tell your audience is after all those years living in the great beyond, I can tell from my own personal experience that heaven is a lot hotter than I thought it would be.
Would you say it's hotter than hell?
Well, it's as hot as, well, I don't want to say that because that might infer that I may not be in heaven. But heaven is very, very hot. It's hard to get ice water. The air conditioner, they tell me, broke. And it's hot. That's all I can say.
It's no Manugian mansion up there, I'm guessing, huh?
No, it's not. No, it's not. And it needs a new wallpapering, much like I had done at Manugian. But the other thing that bothers me a little bit about the great beyond being in heaven, there's a few people up here that I'm a little surprised to see in heaven. Adolf Hitler, for example, is right down the hall from me. And, Genghis Khan's up here. And who's that? Hannibal Lecter. He's up one floor from me. So heaven is an interesting place.
You certainly are keeping good company, I must say. I'm not surprised.
That's right.
But most important to my audience, we all want to know, are you still cantankerous and are you still boxing with, say, Billy Bonds? You ever
Well, yeah, as a matter of fact, Billy's up here as well. And, Billy and I occasionally work out together. And about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we set up a boxing match. And I knocked his wig off. And that sort of ended the fight right then.
Well, there was no vanity with Billy Bonds, so I'm sure that was problematic, right?
Well, thank God for him. He had multiple extra wigs nearby. So as fast as I could knock him off, he could replace them.
So give him our best. We really do miss him. The legendary Bill Bonds. Reigned
I will.
for
I will
decades.
do. I'm sorry. I cut you off. I'm sorry.
No. I was just saying he reigned for decades, and I'd love to have him on the show. So let him know I'll be reaching out. Yeah,
I know. And the other interesting thing about Billy is if when I first took office in 1974, I told all the thugs and crooks and thieves to hit 8 Mile, to get out of my city. The only one that left was Bill Bonds. So,
I think a lot of people left, to be honest with you, Mr. Mayor. You probably don't remember how many great suburbs were built just off of that line to hit 8 Mile. There was no such thing as Novi and Waterford and places like that before you took.
That's just another thing I can take credit for.
Yes. Well, I want to thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate it. And now we got to figure out how we can Venmo you Krugerrands for your fee appearance.
Yeah, that would be nice. Krugerrands are a little hard to Venmo because they're metal. They're made out of they're coins.
Yeah.
So what you can do is visit me down here. Up here, and just hand them to me.
I
And,
have no intention of visiting you in the near future, but we'll make some arrangements, Mr. Mayor. And by the way, before you go, I just want to tell you, you remind me of a friend of mine who was on the Dick Burton show forever, and did an incredible impression of you. I'd love to hear some stories from the great Joe Noune. I wonder if I can get a hold of Joe Noune and he could tell us some of the stories because he did the greatest impressions of your history as mayor on Burton Show forever. But anyway, it was good talking to you, Mr. Mayor. It was a pleasure talking to you, and thank you for taking the time. And
well, thank you for having me, and we'll talk again soon.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
All right, now let's see if we can get a hold of my staff. Can you get a hold of Joe Noune? Get him on the line. Let's see if we can get Joe Noune up. Okay. Hey, Joe.
Hello, Michael. How are you?
Oh God, I'm I'm so happy to see you and hear you. I just had the most unbelievable experience interviewing former Mayor Coleman A. Young. And I tell you, it was almost like talking to you. But
He,
despite
he,
that,
he's a, he was actually a wonderful guy, and you're right. I was on Dick's show for right about 20 years, and when I first started, I actually didn't do an impression of Coleman Young. I did an impression of my little brother, Tom, who did an impression of Coleman Young, and he would walk around going, "The city is alive," When before I took office, the city was crying out for help, and the city was on its knees begging for help. And he used to say all those lines, and I did an impression of him. And I worked at the radio station when Dick was still paired with Tom Ryan in the 70s. And he knew I did that, but he had Tom on staff. So when they split up in the early 80s, he asked if I would do the character on his show. And I had, of course, had no problem doing that. I didn't know I was going to do it for 20 years, but it was sort of a joy working with them.
you basically reigned as long as Coleman Young reigned, because I think he was mayor for 20 years.
He was mayor for 20 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he was. And I worked in the 80s into the early 90s, I worked for the Detroit Pistons. And I became close with a lot of the guys on the team. And in all honesty, especially with Isaiah Thomas. And Isaiah knew I had a background in production, audio and visual, because I had a production company for a number of years before I joined the Pistons. And so one day he asked me if I could help him with something called No Crime Day. And we had a PR director, a wonderful guy who's unfortunately passed on, Matt Dobeck. And Matt and I had worked for the Pistons for about the same length of time. And Matt told me, Isaiah's going to ask you to join the No Crime Day committee. And I said, what is that? And he goes, I don't know. I'm going to be on it too. So Isaiah that day said, hey, ma'am, I'd like you to join the No Crime Day Commission and, to write public service announcements. And I said, of course, anything you need. So the next day, Isaiah returned and said, hey, man, we got a meeting today at 2:00 at Manoogian Mansion. I'd like you to be there. So I said, I'd love to, So Matt and I drove to the mansion together that afternoon. And I remember, I had no idea. I knew 3 words: No Crime Day. Neither one of us had any idea of what the plan was or anything. So I was nervous as hell to meet the mayor. I don't know if people realize he was 6'2" or 6'3". He was very tall, very imposing. So anyway, we met and we went into the basement where he had a conference room set up. So we sit there and I open my briefcase. I get a yellow pad of paper and my pen. It's blank. I put it in front of me. I happen to, and the mayor, Emmanuel Stewart, of course, Matt. I think Dave Bing was at that meeting. Isaiah, of course, myself. And there was a police commander there. I can't remember who it was. But anyway, I'm sitting across the conference table from Isaiah. And so I sit down with my blank yellow pad, and the mayor says, okay, Isaiah, this is your show. Why don't you start things off? So I look at Isaiah. He looks at me. He had this huge grin. And the first thing out of his mouth was, well, y'all met Joe. Joe's going to write public service announcements. So, Joe, why don't you tell everyone what you're going to do? And I'm looking at him, and he had the biggest grin he knew he's putting me in. I didn't even know what No Crime Day was. And I'm going to write a public. I said, okay. All right. And I'm thinking, my mind is going a million miles an hour. So I said, first thing I'll ask is there a budget? All right, assuming there's no budget. And the mayor said, no budget at all. So all this has to be done for free. I have to produce, it takes money to get a film crew and lighting crew and sound crew. And, so I said, all right. I had my pad. And I said, well, Isaiah, of course, you're available to do a public service announcement. Of course.
September 27th is No Crime Day. You deserve a break this day. I ask on this.
Write that down, Mayor Young, you are. And I said to Emmanuel, I assume Tommy Hearns will. Yeah, Tommy will. And then Isaiah says, Aretha said she'd help. Aretha Franklin, yes, okay. And then he said, Magic, he gonna help.
Isaiah told me he wanted a no crime day. I said, what? Then he looked at me. So I said, what do you want me to do?
I said, it's Magic Johnson. And then, Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby? All right, Bill Cosby. I'm writing down this list.
Isaiah Thomas has established September 27th as No Crime Day. What does that mean? It means...
And I'm about halfway. There's more. And every huge name. And so I said, well, I have a hell of a talent list to start with. And the mayor said, well, who the hell you think you're dealing with here? So I said, all right, I have no budget at all. And I thought to myself, I know all the general managers at all the TV stations. So whenever these people are in town, they're here for some event. So there'll be a news crew there. So I'll talk to these guys, the general managers. And whenever that happens, I'll get their permission to ask the talent, if we just stand up against a blank background, we don't need any particular lighting. And I'm going to have a close up. I mean, shoulders to the top of the head of everyone. And I'll write a script for everyone to look right in the camera and speak from the heart. I'll write the script as, in their sort of language. And they'll tell the public what No Crime Day means to them. And I said, and then it won't cost anything, and we'll get all these done. And the room went silent. And then Emmanuel says, no, we'll get all these people, we'll all be together at the foot of Woodward. We'll close off the street, we'll have a bunch of kids, and we'll have balloons and then we'll have music playing in the background, get a helicopter, get an air shot, shot from the air, and all this stuff. And, he's going on and on about this elaborate idea. Well, all these people aren't going to be in town at the same time. We have zero budget. We're going to have the city shut down the street, and it ain't going to happen. But I'm in this meeting, 10 minutes have gone by, and I'm politically trying to figure out, how do I, someone who none of these guys know, tell Emmanuel that ain't going to happen, because that'll never be done. That's a 15-hour day of shooting and big film crews and everything. That ain't going to happen. And I'm just about ready to open my mouth to prepare a response. And the mayor puts his hand on Emmanuel's left arm, and he said, Emmanuel, let the expert talk.
And that was you?
And that was me, and I was in charge from that moment on.
Well, I hope that you wrap this up, because the Franklin Show, by the way, is a 30-minute show, and
oh boy,
this is not going to be a mini series. So, have you got about a 30-second close here for this story?
Just that I'm glad to be the mayor now and then, and I'm glad to be on your show.
Joe, I could do an hour with you. You're the most entertaining guy I know, at least so far today. But anyway,
okay.
Thank you so much for coming on the Franklin Show. Thank you for telling me and the audience a great story. I know there are a million more.
Oh,
maybe,
there are.
maybe we'll do an entire hour with you.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks so much for having me. And
Thanks for being had. We appreciate you. All right, everybody. We'll
hope
be
to see you soon.
Thank you. We'll be right back, everybody.
When it comes to disasters and emergencies, it's not a matter of if, but when.
I'm relying on luck, but who knows if it'll be on my side.
Let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Take control at ready.gov/older adults.
Wow, what a great show this was. My thanks to the great John Lennon for making himself available. You remember he was in a couple of bands. And that legendary mayor, Coleman Young. God bless you both for being on the show tonight. I really enjoyed having you. Look forward to seeing everybody again next time on The Franklin Show. Good night, everybody.